To Shield the Queen by Fiona Buckley. The dedication reads, For my agent, David Grossman. Chapter 1, Richmond Palace. John Wilton was a small man, knotted and wiry, with short dusty brown hair which stuck up in spikes. He had a snub nose and discoloured teeth. I can't remember what colour his eyes were, and I never knew his age. Men like John seem to be born in middle life, and there they stay. He had started out as a groom employed by my husband's family, and become, eventually, my husband Gerald's manservant. Now, when Gerald was gone, he would gladly have become mine, except that I couldn't afford him. He believed in hard work and honesty, and sometimes carried the latter too far. John would speak his mind when he felt it necessary, regardless of risk, regardless of the other person's social standing. He was as plain and trustworthy as a loaf of good brown bread. In that April of 1560, when Queen Elizabeth had been on the throne for less than 18 months, the sect we now call the Puritans had barely begun to emerge, and I doubt if John had ever heard of them, but in a later age he might well have joined them. And I have done few things in my life harder than dismounting from his pillion and bidding him farewell that afternoon at the landward gate of Richmond Palace. Some people would have thought me ungrateful. I was there, after all, to enter the service of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and Richmond Palace was one of the newest and most beautiful royal residences, a place of ample light and airy grace, with turrets and fountains and generous windows and singing weather vanes, which made a melodious sound when the wind blew. It was a privilege to be allowed into it, and it was rather more than a privilege to be doing so as one of the young Queen's ladies of the presence chamber. God knows I had parted from others who meant more to me than John. I had watched my husband die of the smallpox, and been forced, too, to say good-bye to our daughter Meg, and leave her behind in the care of her nurse Bridget. What was a mere manservant compared to husband and child? However, John was my last link with them, with my too short married life, and the small loving child who was Gerald's gift to me. Now I must lose even him, and no amount of palaces or pinnacles, or even the most charismatic of princes could make up for that. But there it was. However great the honour of becoming a lady of the presence chamber, a stipend of £30 a year would barely keep Meg and her nurse. I couldn't find the wherewithal to pay John too. I talked to him while we waited for someone to come and guide me into the palace. I gave him messages for Meg and Bridget, and then repeated them, dreading the moment of parting, and at the same time wishing it could be over.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?